Hi there, my name is Nick, and this is the Get Me Off Grid video blog. Right now, I'm about to end a one-day experiment in which I've seen whether I could heat my place purely using candle heaters and ethanol. You will be watching this video in two parts. The first part is me talking about my more recent discoveries using the candle heater and ideas as to how to develop that idea further for the purposes of domestic heating of a small property or let's say a large room, which is more or less what I've got here. Okay, and then I go on throughout the day explaining how I've been doing the heating. I show you the temperature measurements, I show you the humidity measurements, I show you what the temperature's like outside as opposed to inside, and so you get a feeling for the use of ethanol alcohol as a heating fuel, and then you can work out for yourself the costs in whatever parts of the world you're living in, with whatever weather conditions you happen to have where you are. Ethanol has proven itself to be a good heating fuel. There are downsides to it, namely there is a feeling of condensation in the air as a result of the combustion. There are other downsides in the fact that you're using a non-labor saving device. I mean, it's not like you've got a thermostat on an electric radiator or your thermostat on the wall, which works out what the temperature is and then kicks the heating on when it's required. You've got to work out how much fuel you want to use to get how much temperature gain, and then to use that quantity of fuel and to perpetually check your thermometer to make sure your temperature is still in the range you'd like it to be, and of course doing more burning or less burning, taking into account how you're planning on using the fuel. But on the other hand, can it actually be used? Short answer, yes. This one particular test was based upon purely the idea of off-grid heating, not the idea of off-grid lighting, off-grid hot water, off-grid bath water, off-grid washing water, okay, or any of those things. It was just a question of space heating. But on the other hand, there was a certain feeling of success I got from it. The economics of ethanol, if taken over a 12-month period, still stack up as probably being higher than gas or electric, but it can still be used as an important either backup solution or indeed as something which you can try and incorporate into your life as a way of reducing your grid dependence, and of course doing things in a more environmentally friendly and appropriate manner. Hopefully with the passage of time the cost of alcohol will go down, so you'll be able to use it much more for your domestic heating, cooking, and hot water for washing and washing up, let's say, than you would otherwise. Obviously there's still a big challenge when it comes to bath time and seeing whether you can use alcohol to be able to generate enough heat to make a bath time worthwhile. That is another, that's a problem for another day. I've got to tackle these things one at a time. But can I actually heat the place using ethanol alcohol? Short answer, yes. Okay, so now we're going to go on with the progress throughout the rest of the day, and you'll be able to see how, or go through all the progress of all the videos I've done. You'll see my progress with the candle heater. You'll see my progress with off-grid heating, okay, in a domestic setting, all right, without a chimney, without a flue, and just relying upon candle heaters and ethanol or bioethanol alcohol. Here we go. Okay guys and girls, this is over 2 hours after I set these things going. The temperature outside is cold. It's gone down by about 0.8 of a degree within the past couple of hours, so it's now 3 degrees Celsius. The temperature indoors has gone up since I put the pots on. Typically speaking, if I've just got that heater going, because I'm cheating today and I am using a form of electric heating, okay, and the temperature outside goes down, then the temperature inside goes down, so that eventually it becomes a little on the chilly side, okay. These things are packing out the heat. I can sit here from over here and I can feel some radiation on my face, okay. It is actually doing its job. When I stand close enough to it, I can feel the heat radiating onto my calves. The warmest spot on the pot happens to be about there for some reason, so that's where it seems to be radiating out the most. I have 5 candles under each pot, so I have 10 candles burning totally. And the air quality does not seem to be anywhere near as much as an issue as it was when I was using this configuration, which is one flower pot bolted inside another one as the source, and with 10 candles underneath the one apparatus. So it's 5 under 2 as opposed to 10 under 1, but still 10 candles being burned. The result is obviously noticeable because the indoor temperature is going up, not going down. Okay, air quality doesn't seem to be an issue. I may consider at some points turning off all forms of on-grid heating and just seeing how well I can do with the candles. What I have discovered is that I can't rely purely upon the ethanol, because of course there's cost concerns with using the ethanol fireplace. If I use a combination of the candles, okay, candles and flower pots plus ethanol, I could probably do it. My concerns then under those circumstances would be the consumption of oxygen from the air, because you've got fire under there, you've got fire under there. It may not be putting out that much in the way of carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, but it is consuming oxygen. And if you get the flames going there, more oxygen will be consumed, so you have to be careful about that too. Alright? I don't know how much oxygen is being consumed. I don't know how I can get my hands on technology to measure how much oxygen I've actually got in the air and whether I'm reaching dangerous levels. But these are things I'm going to have to research. I mean, the moment you discover something new, okay, it opens up a whole vista of more and more crap you've got to find out, really, if you're going to do all this stuff safely. But do flower pot heaters work? Yes. Remember, these are singular flower pots. They're not double flower pots like that. And they're hot. They are contributing to the domestic heating. By about this time of night, being about 11 o'clock, I will be tempted to either give the heating indoors a bit of a boost if I'm just using the electric heater over there, through turning the gas up or turning on the ethanol fire, through putting ethanol into the burning tins and setting them on fire. Fact of the matter is, today I don't need to. One other thing I'll show you is this thing here, which is one of those reflective things you put in your car when the weather's hot, to reflect out the infrared radiation from the sun, to make it less likely your car will turn into an oven. What I've done with that previously is, well, earlier on today, is to make a little horseshoe of it around the flower pots. And I could feel a hell of a lot more radiation coming off, because it was being bounced off the reflective surface on this. I didn't want to use this for too long, because as you can see, it's made of a foam-like substance, which I assume if you were to put a spark to it would go woof. And there's only one thing you want going woof, and that's the thing which has got 4 legs and a waggly tail. Okay, so if you had, let's say, 3 of these things going, okay, and you had some kind of like horseshoe thing made of aluminium foil which could reflect the heat back to you, that would actually be a very good solution, in my opinion. Okay, obviously in this video I'm pointing out that there's more things to be learnt about the candle and flower pot heating apparatus, but what I have shown you is what I've managed to learn so far and experience so far, and these things do seem to be putting out noticeable heat. I can feel it on the inside of my legs. Okay, I can feel it on the inside of my legs. Okay, so there's stuff going on there which is a contribution to the domestic heating. Could you do complete domestic heating for a flat using flower pots? I don't know. Alright, maybe if I had 4 of these things set up, I'll get myself another couple of baking trays, more of those little sauce pots, which I've got it down there, which seem to provide the right kind of height sort of thing for the flower pots to rest on, with the candles underneath. Okay, then maybe I can try having 4 going and just seeing whether it feels good in here. Whether I think that the air is getting toxic, or whether I'm getting a bit drowsy because of carbon dioxide. Yes, I'll have my carbon monoxide detector going, so I'll try and make sure I'm nice and safe. But there's questions to be asked, and yeah, it's an interesting technology to play with. Another downside of these things, they take a bit of time to heat up. Okay, it takes about an hour for you to get some meaningful heat on the surface of the pots. And that's a problem, okay, because typically speaking, in the 21st century, we want to just flick a switch and then hey presto, we got heat. That's what we like, because we're humans. With this, it takes an hour for you to get some temperature. So if you were, you know, coming downstairs, inside temperatures down to 14 degrees Celsius, and get your flower pots on, you won't be able to feel warm and cozy for, you know, about an hour, and that's if you're sitting right close to your flower pots. So it's not an instant heat solution. So you might want to do is get your ethanol fire going, just to burn that for about an hour and a half's worth maybe. After you've got your flower pots going, so that will provide you with the initial warming in the air, which will help to keep the place okay prior to your radiance heater kicking in. Obviously, convection, radiation, two different things. Alright, I was planning on taking the chimney off and putting a flower pot on top, but unless I've got something like an oven shelf in the way, I don't think that would be a good idea, because the metal collar could expand faster than the pots, breaking the pots. Okay, so I would love to be able to use ethanol with this thing, but I want to be careful about that, because like if the pot breaks, some stuff could fall in, knock the ethanol over, I got a house fire, I'm screwed. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I've got to find a way of using the ethanol very, 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 very safely, because you know it's a liquid fuel. If this stuff splashes everywhere when it's burning, then something terrible could happen. And so it's important that I'm very careful about that sort of thing. All right. I'm pretty sure that there is something else I could add to this video right now, but I can't think for the life of me what it is. But what I would say is that flower pots are the new red hot. Okay, I mean, there's good stuff which you can get from a garden centre, which you can use for either temporary domestic heating or hypothetically something a little bit more permanent. It's interesting, very interesting. Subscribe, rate, comment and share, okay? Go on, you know you want to. Okay, burn time is over, and that is the fuel I've used. Okay, outdoor temperature, it's about the same. Indoor temperature has gone down since the end of burn time, which is another demonstration that this very simple heating method using candles, just 10 of them, has had a noticeable and measurable effect when used with the help of flower pots. So it's a question of scaling up and trying to find ways of keeping safe. And that's basically what it's all about. Scale up, keep safe, work within affordability, and see what kind of benefits we can get. Okay, so it's currently about 1 o'clock in the morning. I've turned off the electric heater and the mains gas is turned off. And I'm going to do a little experiment. 9 o'clock in the morning, 14.2 degrees Celsius. Just got out of bed after having gone to bed late. The ethanol I've used for this morning's fire went from the top of the label down to about there. So we're talking about, I guess about a third of a litre. Just getting myself 2 flower pots on. Just having my oatmeal in front of a roaring fire. Well, a flickering one. Alcohol fires don't actually like roar, but it's flickering. And it's breakfast time. Okay, so it's 9:35 in the morning. We got temperatures now up to 16 degrees. Okay, 4.8 outside, 16 degrees inside. Relative humidity inside 62%. Not too bad, because you know we gone up a couple of degrees, almost in the butter zone of 17 to 19 degrees Celsius, when I can say I feel okay, I feel warm. So I like what I'm seeing here, and that's relatively quick. Okay, it isn't totally instantaneous, but it's relatively quick, just using the power of candles and ethanol. So it's looking good. Just as a side note, the radiant heat I can feel on my bare legs early in the morning from these candles now they've been going is actually really rather something. So, you know, if you're experiencing this from cold as it was from being in bed and then coming out here, you know, you can feel radiant heat on your bare flesh, and it really is rather good. Bang on 10 AM, the fire has nearly burned itself out. 2 tins are dead, one still burning. Temperature we got now, 16.8 degrees Celsius, not quite in the butter zone yet. 17 to 19 degrees, but we're getting there. Once the tins in the fire have cooled down, I'll fill them up with more alcohol, see if we can get the temperature up higher, and see whether we can really use ethanol as a viable domestic heating solution. So I've now put more ethanol into my fireplace. So today I've used up from there down to there in my 1 litre bottle of ethanol for my morning heating to try and get the temperature up to see whether ethanol is a viable solution. Obviously I'm thinking about the economics of ethanol heating as opposed to, you know, gas and electric and that sort of thing, as well as of course, you know, the practicalities of it. Practicalities of anything which is vaguely off-grid, whether you know, if you're doing it on my scale in a detached building. This is I'm living in a flat, but it's a detached building, so it's going to be colder than a proper flat in a tower block or whatever, you know, but I'm still doing it. Temperature is in the butter zone. 17 to 19 degrees is when I feel comfortable. It is now 17 degrees Celsius with the help of candles and ethanol. So yeah, if we can maintain the temperature all day, then we ain't got nothing to worry about. 7 minutes to 11 AM, we have a good temperature inside of 18 degrees Celsius. Yes, relative humidity is up. You'd expect that with combustion in the form of the candles and the ethanol. But on the other hand, we have a workable indoor temperature now. This is brilliant. So, bioethanol fireplace plus 2 flower pot heaters can provide a usable quantity of heat. Yes, it's a damn sight slower than using your mains domestic heating. There is humidity produced, which you would not get if you were using the electric mains powered radiator, or convector I should say. But yeah, the temperature's going up nicely. 11:30 AM, current temperature indoors 18 degrees Celsius, outdoor temperature 5.8. Let me just show you. Relative humidity 63%. Okay, indoors. Candles still going. There's still a bit of a little fiery, flickery glow underneath the flower pots. I've only burnt the ethanol for I think it was under 2 hours, maybe two stints, both up to about an hour in duration. Less than an hour, I would say. Okay. But from whatever was the 14 point something or other temperature we had before to the 18 degrees we got now, that's not too bad. The feeling of humidity in the air after having burnt the ethanol for that period of time was noticeable, so that's a concern because that could cause mold and all the rest of that kind of stuff. I don't know whether you can see that. There's drips on the edge of the window. I think that could be just because of water combustion and water vapor being produced. So that is, I don't know if that's just come about naturally because it's cold outside or what. But either way, that's my heating so far. Last night, after 1 o'clock in the morning, when I turned off the electric heater, the only heating I used to keep myself warm in the dead of the night was 2 hot water bottles, and when I was under the blankets, that was absolutely fine. So, okay, steadily on the road to lunchtime. It's reasonably warm here, and I'm not too worried. Total off-grid heating from a house which started, or a flat, a detached flat, which started at a little over 14 degrees Celsius. Now, if I was trying to heat this place from literally 0, let's say the place has not been occupied, and everything in here was down to 0, the walls were down to 0 degrees Celsius, the cupboards were down to 0 degrees Celsius, the floor was down to 0 degrees Celsius, I would have a hell of a lot more trouble. But the fact of the matter is, it's been lived in for a while. The ethanol has helped to boost the temperature, the candles are keeping this whole thing going. Because my thinking is that the outside, you know, the windows, the walls, they're all draining heat from the place. There's an insulation here, but it's not perfect. So essentially I need heat to replace what's been taken away. Some of that will be being done by the candle from flower pot arrangements, and I can always reboost that with ethanol, and we'll just see how much it's going to cost by the end of the day. Time now is about 35 minutes past 12. Temperature now has gone down from its peak of 18.1 degrees inside to 17.5. Outdoor temperature 6.8, indoor relative humidity 61%. Candles are still going. And again, I have not used the alcohol fire to boost the temperature. So essentially, the temperature's gone down quite a lot. Just in the, past hour, let's say. Okay. I'm of the opinion that the candles are still contributing to keeping the temperature up, because I can still feel lots of heat coming off these friendly things. It feels good. And I'm about to have myself some lunch. That's why I thought I'd take some time to do a bit of footage right now and let you know how the temperature's going. Today is an experiment into domestic heating. It's not into an experiment into cooking, so I'm doing on-grid cooking at the moment, and I want to try and make sure I understand how much alcohol I'm using and how many candles I'm using to maintain a passable internal temperature. It's a frugal lunch, not costing all that much more than probably 50 pence or a little more. You got kidney beans, tin of kidney beans, tin of carrots, tin of potatoes, got some tomato puree to which I've added garlic and curry powder and another spice or two just to give it some depth. So 50p for a lunch, not bad going. Okay, 10 past 1 in the afternoon. Time to get more candles on the go. Five under each pot. Ten past 1, 17.6 degrees, and I think that's because of the cooking. 22 minutes past 2 o'clock, the temperature has dipped down to 17 degrees Celsius. That's like the bottom of my comfort zone. So what I'm doing is I put the ethanol fire on. When it boots up, the flame starts blue and is small, and then the tins heat up, more vapor is produced from the ethanol itself, and the flame height increases, and then they go that beautiful golden colour, and that's when the maximum heat output comes out of the ethanol fire. So what I've done in terms of quantity of fuel that's used is I've used up the rest of my little bottle. Now remember, when this bottle started out, it was full from there to just about the top of the label. So that much extra had already been used up by my previous burnings, so it's still not a full litre. At this rate, I'm making an estimate that you could probably budget about 2 litres a day if you're using candles as well under these temperature conditions. After the most recent fire burning, I've managed to crank the temperature up to 19.1 degrees Celsius inside. Outside is currently 5.6 with an indoor relative humidity of 68%. If I was to budget for, let's say, 2 litres a day, remember this is like the second bottle. The first bottle started off from the level of at the top of the label, and so I've now got that far through this one. Okay, you can see the level there. Okay, so I'd have to budget all the rest of this for the rest of the day, and the time now is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunset's steadily coming, and we got some really mucky weather on the way, as you can see.